My favorite was when the police officer comes in and he's like, "Hey guys, just so this is the sacredest place.
Yeah.
Like, can we file out of here?" And they're like, "Okay, brother, no problem." It was all very civil.
You said something a moment ago about law enforcement. The MAGA are supposed to be supporters of law enforcement, and we have through the Blaze we have shown that we have some federal officers who have perjured themselves in these January 6th trials.
Capitol Police.
Yeah, Capitol Police officers, including the guy that was on January 6th, the head of Nancy Pelosi's dignitary protection detail, and so this is irrefutable. I mean, we have them dead to rights. I mean, we have the video evidence, we have everything. Well, just yesterday when we released another one of our videos in this series about the Capitol Police, it's called "A Day in the Life of Harry Dunn, Part 1," and when we released that yesterday, one of the first things that you start seeing up in our Twitter threads is that, I thought MAGA was supposed to love cops. You guys hate cops, and I'm like, you realize that it's the good guys at the Capitol Police who are working with us on this. Mm-hmm. And I can assure you right now, there's 2,000 uniformed Capitol Police that are cheering this video because those guys who perjured themselves in trials made them look bad.
Yep.
Well, not to mention, when people were entering the Capitol on January 6th, police officers were taking selfies with them and shaking their hands.
Yeah.
There's one guy, you probably know his name. He's on camera speaking with the officers, asking them what they can do to assist the officers with getting people out, and then try getting people to leave. And I think they put him in prison, didn't they?
If I don't know that particular incident, but there are many incidents where that took place, and in fact, and let's go ahead and just dispel one rumor, and I know I get in trouble every time I do this. No Capitol Police officer actually opened the outside doors for protesters. That did not happen. I've been in the CCTV viewing room more than any other journalist on the planet. I have seen and I've watched the actual breaching of every door. It was protesters that breached every single door. There were 7 of them that they breached. Having said that, after they were breached and the numbers were overwhelming, some of the Capitol Police did hold the doors open.
And there was the officer who said, "I don't agree with it, but I respect it."
That's correct. Or they said, "I don't agree with what's going on right now, but you guys, don't, tear the place up." There were these kinds of conversations, and the conversation like the one that you just mentioned there of what can we do for you. There was
there is an interior door that's on camera being held open by an officer,
Correct.
and then protesters come in, I think, in front of the officer or something like that.
Yep. And there's several examples of that.
Yeah.
Look, they opened the doors for Chansley into the Senate.
They guided him to the Senate and said, let us help you get there. And he walks by.
That was the funniest video.
Yeah.
He's got like 3 cops around him. They walk past like 7 cops, and they go to the door and they open it, and they say, "Here you are, sir." And he's like, "Thank you."
A guy carrying a spear,
My favorite was when the police officer comes in and he's like, "Hey guys, just so this is the sacredest place.
Yeah.
Like, can we file out of here?" And they're like, "Okay, brother, no problem." It was all very civil.
and a guy with a rubber bullet stuck in his cheek.
Yeah.
And the cop, "You need anything?" He goes, "No, I'm good."
So you can't pray in the Senate chamber, but you can definitely film yourself.
Whoa. Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was an insurrection right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
So for those that don't know, there was he got fired for this, but who was he working for? The staffer? So working for a Democrat in the Senate, I think, and he filmed himself. And the rumor is we've seen one video go viral where these 2 male staffers are basically insulting baby Jesus in this, and defiling the seat of our government. And the rumor is he's done it more than once. That they had been doing this frequently, and only one of them got posted. So
I'll bet it happens all the time.
Doesn't
God
shock me.
knows
No, it's
what happens in the Capitol building. Oh.
I can't even begin to.
Madison Cawthorn tried
relay
warning us.
the stories.
Yep.
about
I
Yeah,
remember
right.
this. Remember
Yeah.
this.
that we're aware
Crack
of.
orgies.
Yeah. And but that's
You think they're more
It's
or
in
less
line with what
wild
they
than a
want.
Diddy party?
more wild.
More wild, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when I heard that he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil, I was like, he's got nothing on Congress.
That's like a Tuesday.
Well, and that's the rumored, and I guess we can throw rumors out here on this show maybe, but
I am pregnant, yes.
Kamala Harris was not where she was supposed to be on January 6th either. We all knew about that,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. She was actually at the DNC. She was scheduled 2 days in advance. This is in the Secret Service logging, their book records, is that it was a known fact that she was going to be at the DNC headquarters from 11:30 to 3:30. Now, the debate and the vote at the Capitol on her, coronation as, vice president is taking place. She's a sitting voting senator. She is the VP elect, and she has chosen not to be where the vote is taking place. Now, why is that?
I heard a crazy story just when I was at Rescue the Republic. I spoke with a Capitol police officer. I'm not sure if he was a former, but there's another officer who, and you probably know this. You probably know the story. He took it upon himself to evacuate members of Congress, and then he got in trouble because they did not want him to do that.
I was on the phone with him last night.
Yep.
Wow.
So can you break down the story for us?
Yeah, that's Lieutenant Tarek Johnson.
Yeah.
He was calling in he actually, start from the beginning here, his job that day, he was in charge of interior security of the entire Capitol building. That was his job as the lieutenant inside. You can hear his voice on the radio comms, Capitol Police radio comms, calling in for assistance early on in the battle. He's trying to set up decontamination tents for the officers that are getting hit with bear spray. He's calling for, water to be brought in to assist the officers in that regard. He then calls in the what they call the M4 units, the guys that are actually carrying the long rifles, the automatic weapons, because he says we don't want the he actually says these words. He says, we're not going to use deadly force. We need the M4 units to come in because we can't risk them being taken by protesters, the automatic rifles. So you see all the M4 units start coming in right about 1 o'clock or right about 2 o'clock. And so once it was absolutely apparent that they were going to be breached, he started calling in to headquarters, to the command center, to the officers or the chiefs, the assistant chiefs in control up there. We need help. What do we do? I need directions. I need to know. And there's silence. Total silence coming from the command center. No direction, no orders whatsoever. So he literally says on the radio, he says, I'll take the 550 and the 534. Those are like two documents, disciplinary documents. He said, I'll take both disciplinary actions, but I am evacuating the Senate now. You can hear him. We have a clear path out. Boom. And he does it. He takes it upon himself. He evacuates the Senate. 8 minutes later, he runs down once he's verified, and you can hear it all on the radio. Once it's verified that everybody's out of the Senate and he's safe, he runs to the House and starts the evacuation of the House. So he has embarrassed command now because he's taken the lead and probably done something they didn't anticipate, something that was not supposed to happen.
The implication, I suppose, is they wanted members of Congress in those buildings to be confronted by, at the very least, the rioters on that day.
That's exactly what they wanted.
The photos of members of the Senate being shoved or yelled at, whatever it may have turned into.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, someone asked me, because we were talking at the Republic event backstage, well, why would they discipline him? Why wouldn't they just tell him no? And because they don't want to be on the record in recording saying stand down.
Okay, I have his entire OPR. That's the disciplinary report, and I acquired that actually before I ever met him, and I've known him for almost 2 years now. Well, almost exactly 2 years now. And again, his name is former Lieutenant Tarek Johnson, and the one thing that he did that he became famous for was there was 16 officers calling in a distress call over the radio. It's all there. I have the radio comms. And when they called in the distress call, he got on there and said, okay, because they knew that FBI and ATF SWAT teams were in the building. And he calls for FBI, ATF to come over there and help get those guys out. No response. Well, he even tells them exactly where he is outside waiting for them, for the SWAT teams to come. They don't respond. You can hear him on the radio say, basically, fuck it, I'll do it. He's the guy that took the MAGA hat.
Wow.
Actually, a protester put the MAGA hat on. He didn't ask for one. Protester put the MAGA hat on him. He saw it and realized, this is my pass through the crowd. This is the Passover, symbol for me to get through the crowd. So he is looking for now, again, it's on the radio comms. He's looking for a bullhorn. I need a bullhorn. Somebody give me a bullhorn. He's calling on the radio. Somebody, I need a cop to deliver me a bullhorn to such and such place. He couldn't get it. He says it again. Fuck it, I'll get one. And he goes and finds one himself from a protester. So then, as he's trying to get help, two guys standing next to him said, "What do you need? Officer, what do you need?" I'm former law enforcement myself, and shows him his badge. He's retired, so they carry those cards and everything. And he says, "Yeah, I've got 16 distressed officers in. I need to go get them out." And they go, "Oh, we're Oath Keepers. We'll help you." So one of them, 20 years law enforcement, former military as well, gets in front. He takes the bullhorn. He puts Tarek Johnson, Lieutenant Johnson, in the middle. The other Oath Keeper gets behind him. They go up the stairs through the crowd, announcing to the crowd, clear the way, we're Oath Keepers, we're here to rescue somebody." The crowd goes, "Oh, Oath Keepers, they're the good guys. They're known as the good guys. They do disaster relief projects. They do security all over the country at riots, all over the country. They protect minority businesses in Louisville, in Minneapolis, in Ferguson. This is what the Oath Keepers do. They don't attack cops." And so they go up the stairs. They lead the 16 officers out. One lady hugs every one of them as they come out. Their people are high-fiving the officers as they bring them down the steps, led by a Capitol police officer with a MAGA hat on. So he gets suspended 3 days later, loses his job. He is placed on mandatory. Now, you can't believe that they can do this. They put him on home detention.
What?
For 17 months, he could not leave his house during workout. So his job, because if you're a job or your shift is a 7 to 3 or 7 to 4 shift, he was in home confinement during his job hours for 17 months.
Could he quit?
They were fighting. I mean, obviously they were fighting the process, and what ended up happening is when they did the disciplinary review on him, all of the disciplinary action is from 3 o'clock till he rescues. So they actually disciplined him for rescuing those officers. They claimed that he endangered them, but everything that he did heroically from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, not a word of it is in the disciplinary report, because that's where he embarrassed them, and that's where he countered their
So vile.
plan.
I think it's fairly obvious that Trump called for National Guard. They deny it.